As and when I'm recording this video, I'm pretty sure that you have already heard about this particular perfume, Old Money Elixir from the house of Arabian Aroma. And the internet is flooded with this, touting to be one of the best clones of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa out there. And many reviewers are kind of saying that Khamrah is basically dead. You don't need to buy Khamrah anymore. But the point is, Arabian Aroma Old Money Elixir is not the first Khamrah Qahwa clone to get released in the market. There were many prior to this, and I thought maybe this was kind of a video that you wanted. Maybe this is what the internet needs right now. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Old Money Elixir, compare it with Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa, as well as compare it with the rest of the clones of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa that I own in my collection. And where does this stand? I'm going to talk about the performance, projection, and I'm going to give you a full clear picture as to who you should go with, who you should not go with. Okay. I'm going to be talking about 5 levels of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa clones out there. And before I talk about the clones, let me talk about the OG Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. To be honest, this is a perfume which is a bit dominated by the notes of coffee, vanillic sweetness, a lot of spices. To be honest, the perfume is very seductive, yet quite thick, sweet. It's kind of like coffee infused with Lattafa Khamrah. Now, if you don't know how this smells, to a layman, imagine you are just baking a cinnamon roll or a cinnamon bread. You're just taking it out of the oven. It's fresh, it's hot, it's vanillic, it's sweet, it's gourmand, and you add a freshly roasted black coffee on top of that cinnamon bun or cinnamon roll. The kind of smell that you're gonna get, the rich aroma of coffee infusing with that sweet vanillic yet spicy cinnamon roll, that's what Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa smells like. Honestly, it's a very delicious gourmandish perfume, but I kind of don't like the DNA much because I feel it's a bit too heavy and thick for me, and I kind of mostly wear it very occasionally. But this was the first decant that I got of Khamrah Qahwa. I made a video way back when I was starting my YouTube career making videos, and then luckily I got a partial of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa just to have it in my collection, because honestly the perfume is not bad, the perfume is good, and Chandrima kind of likes this perfume to some extent as of now. It has kind of grown over her, but not that much with me. So I just wanted to keep this bottle with me just as reference, you can say. And then I got many Khamrah Qahwa clones. I added it to my collection to compare it with the OG. So let me start off with level 1 today, and slowly and gradually I will move to level 5 depending on the smell, quality, everything. So at level 1, I've got Olga Red Flag. Why this is at level 1? Because this is not the best Khamrah clone out there. The 5th one is the best according to me, but the first one is Olga Red Flag. I call it level 1 because 1, if in case you imagine the note of Khamrah Qahwa, that dense coffee, sweet, praline, vanillic note, and imagine you get a cheap clone of that particular perfume, this one, and you blend it with some rusty nails, the kind of feeling that you're gonna get is this one. This smells like blood, the metallic note of blood. Okay, that is what it smells like, and I have actually applied all of them on strips just to compare them head to head, and this is what I particularly feel about the Olga Red Flag. Although this leans to the DNA of Khamrah Qahwa, but it's mostly a rusty nail-like note infused with the note of Khamrah Qahwa, and to me it's not that great. In terms of the blend quality, you might get some inferior feeling associated with this perfume, but this is available for only 800 rupees for 100 ml. That's like 8 rupees per ml. So in that particular pricing, this is, if not the cheapest one, this is the second cheapest one out of the lot when it comes to the per ml pricing. Khamrah Qahwa sells for 28 rupees per ml or 2800 rupees for 100 ml. So in short, this is around 3.5 times cheaper than Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. Projection and longevity wise, this will last you easily 6 to 7 hours when applied on the clothes. But in the dry down, this will still give you that medicinal note, some metallic notes added with the weird sweetness that you get in Red Flag. Honestly, if I want to suggest you, I would say skip this one. There are better out. Next, moving on. The second level is Coffee Date, coming from the house of Oof. What Oof has done with the Coffee Date is basically go to the same vendor where, I'm assuming, okay? This is not real. I'm just saying it to you just for reference or namesake. Imagine they went to the same vendor from where Olga bought their clone oil, okay? And then they just said, make it a bit more thick and reduce that metallic note to some extent. That is it. And the metallic note is kind of a bit nuanced over here compared to Olga Red Flag, but it's still there. That is the reason if I were to recommend you, I would say skip this one as well. Coffee Date by Oof, not the best out there from the house of Oof. And pricing wise, this is 13 rupees per ml or 1300 rupees for 100 ml. And in that particular scenario, this is the second most expensive out of the lot. So from the value aspect as well, I wouldn't be recommending it. In terms of the dry down or the closeness to the OG, both this one as well as Red Flag kind of seems to be in the similar territory. There is not much visible difference that you can detect if you're comparing Red Flag and Coffee Date side by side. You're gonna just understand that Coffee Date is a bit more thicker than Olga Red Flag. That is it. Performance wise, 6 to 7 hours easily when applied on the clothes. The sillage is also very similar to Olga Red Flag. But then again, is it the best Khamrah Qahwa clone out there? I don't think so. So that's level 2. Now let's talk about level 3. At level 3, we have got Velour perfumes, and this perfume is called VIP. Now, this is not basically a direct clone of Khamrah Qahwa. Rather, this is more like an inspiration on the DNA of Khamrah Qahwa. And quite frankly, this is even far off compared to Olga and Oof when I compare it with the OG Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. The sweetness over here is not the sweetness of vanilla. It's mostly caramel-like sweetness that they have added over here. So instead of that vanillic sweetness that Khamrah Qahwa has, this leans more towards that wafery or caramel-like Biscoff kind of a sweetness. And the opening is also a bit different. Over here, the ratio of spices are a bit different, and this feels more warm, more heavy, sweeter. It's more praline over here. That is what I felt in case of VIP Velour. And to be honest, if in case you are bored by the DNA of Khamrah Qahwa and you want something in the similar department or similar DNA, but with some twist, then Velour is a better option. However, this is selling for around 800 for a 50 ml. So pricing wise, per ml basis, this is 16 rupees per ml. And to be honest with you, in that particular pricing, I will not be able to recommend it, because if in case you want the DNA and a twist on that DNA, then it's perfectly fine. But if in case you're looking for the clone of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa, then VIP by Velour is not the best out there. Although in terms of projection, longevity and everything, this would last you the similar 7 to 8 hours easily when applied on the clothes. The projection is heavy, around 1 to 1.5 hours easily. It creates a very strong scent bubble around you because the base notes are very heavy. However, the blend quality is far superior when I compare it with Oof Coffee Date and Olga Red Flag. This is a better blend quality, and if in case you are paying around double that of Olga Red Flag, because that's 8 rupees per ml and this is 16 rupees per ml, you get a considerable difference in the quality of the blend. But although this will still feel a bit weird in the opening, the sweetness is kind of very jammy and it's a very heavy sweetness in the opening of VIP Velour. If in case you have no problem with thick heavy sweetness, it's perfectly fine. So that's VIP Velour. Now let's talk about the level 4. This is where you can start your journey with. This is number 4, which is Mocha Toast, coming from the house of Westside StudioWest. To my nose, this in the dry down smells the closest to Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. When I say the closest, I mean the closest out of all the perfumes that I have personally tested. Mocha Toast from the house of StudioWest sells for around 590 rupees for a 50 ml. So converting it to per ml, it would be around 11.8 rupees per ml. And that sits right between Old Money Elixir and Coffee Date. Okay, this is around 13, this is around 7 rupees. I'll come to this, but this is around 11.8 rupees per ml. And for that particular pricing, you get a blend which I think is the closest to the Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa DNA. What this compromises on is the quality of the blend in the opening. When you initially spray this perfume, you will get a strong alcoholic blast which needs around 5 to 6 minutes to settle. And after that, it transitions very smoothly into the DNA of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa, although there is some nuances. The note of coffee seems less pronounced, and the quality of vanilla that has been used in Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa, that's on a different level. So just based on the quality and the ratio of coffee, I think this is a tad bit different. And if in case I have to give it a percentage, I would say this is around 80-85% similar to the DNA of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. I would say 85. And if in case you're smelling it off the air, not like this, but somebody has applied it and you're getting whiffs from that particular person, it's going to be very hard to determine if the person is actually wearing Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa or Mocha Toast. It's that good. Now, in terms of the projection and longevity, this falls a bit behind than the rest of the competition out there. This will give you around 6 to 6.5 hours of longevity and 1 to 1 hour 15 minutes of projection. But over here, the projection is not as loud as the rest of the competition out there. But what it offers is the DNA, which is closer in terms of the comparison. And also, since this is available in a West Side store near you, as well as it's available in the online stores from Tata, like Tata Click, Tira and all those stuff, I feel if in case you want to skip the line, skip the delivery, test it yourself and then get it, you can easily visit a StudioWest store or a West Side store and basically get this perfume right there by testing it out. If in case you want to go for the online route, it's still available as well. So in terms of the delivery channels and delivery partners, Mocha Toast has kind of a competitive edge over the others at 11.8 rupees per ml. Not a bad choice, but this comes at level 4. Now let's talk about level 5. Because Old Money Elixir comes for only 7 rupees per ml. That's the cheapest out of the lot when it comes to the pricing department. 28 rupees per ml for Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa, 7 rupees per ml for Old Money Elixir. That's like 4 times lesser in terms of the pricing. So in the pricing department, this wins hands down. In terms of the blend quality, Old Money Elixir is a much better blend than Olga Red Flag Coffee Date. Okay, but it's at par in the blend quality with VIP Velour. And Mocha Toast is a little bit inferior in terms of the blend quality than Old Money Elixir and VIP Velour, okay, or Velour VIP. So in terms of that particular department, I mean the blend quality, this is kind of good, okay. I won't say best because at 350 rupees, I'm not expecting much, but in the comparison, it's still really good. Now, let's come to the smell profile. Although Mocha Toast feels like 85% close in the dry down to Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa, Old Money Elixir will smell around 80% closer to that DNA. That 5% deficiency or gap between Mocha Toast and the Old Money Elixir is due to the dry down being a tad bit different. In case of Old Money Elixir, this feels a bit more fresher. It's fresher because the note of spices, specifically cinnamon and cardamom, are a bit different or in a different ratio compared to Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. Also, the vanillic sweetness and the note of coffee is a little bit inferior in quality, although that's quite evident and expected because of the pricing. And that creates a difference that you can smell in the dry down, and it only happens when you smell them side by side, strip by strip. Similar to Mocha Toast from West Side, in the air, it's kind of hard to judge or determine whether you're wearing Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa or Old Money Elixir, although Old Money Elixir will feel a tad bit more fresher and spicy compared to Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. And this only is applicable to somebody who has extensively used Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa, else it's very hard to judge. In terms of the projection and longevity, this offers a better projection than Mocha Toast and very similar projection and longevity to VIP from the house of Velour. And Coffee Date also offers very decent performance and projection. So in terms of the projection department and longevity department as well, this really shines through as well. So in terms of the closeness, although it gets like 1 point behind Mocha Toast, but the overall holistic approach I think Old Money Elixir has got a better edge because it's available cheaper per ml than the competition which smells the closest. So that's how I think the entire Lattafa Khamrah clone situation stands out. However, is Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa actually dead? I would say no. If in case, you can still go ahead and buy a Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa at 2800 rupees. You will get the best out of the lot, that is for sure. Over here, the quality of vanilla, the quality of spices, the way the overall blend is, will feel far more superior to the rest of the competition out there. However, if in case your salary is only 20 to 25,000 rupees or say 30,000 rupees, this one bottle will be around 10% of your salary. If in case you are ready to spend that amount, great. You don't even need to watch this video and see the clones that are there in the market. Only if in case you have a tight budget, a budget crunch, or you don't want to spend a lot on a perfume or a DNA like this, or you already own Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa and you want something to layer it with so that you can save this more and utilize the smell better, I think you can go ahead with Old Money Elixir if in case you want the most value for money, best bang for the buck out there at the moment. And if in case you want to go with something which is a bit more closer to the DNA than the Old Money Elixir out there, but you are willing to pay more, around 200 rupees more, then you can go ahead with Mocha Toast. And if in case you need a twist in the DNA of Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa and you basically want it to smell like Qahwa but not really Qahwa, VIP is the way to go. However, skip this too. Coffee Date and Olga Red Flag, I don't think this two will be missed much, or rather I will be able to recommend much regarding these two. And Olga, if in case you're listening, I think you need to work a bit more on this two particular DNA. Sorry, this two particular perfumes from that two particular different houses. So that's pretty much it. If in case you have any queries or concerns with any of the perfumes that I've discussed over here, or you want to suggest something else, go ahead, use the comment section or connect with me via Instagram, which is Saga Online, and I will try my best to answer all your queries as soon as possible. So with that, this is the signing off. I'll see you on the next one very soon. Bye-bye.